for truth.
Welcome to Duality Check, the podcast where two brothers embark on a journey through the realms of scientific inquiry, the mysteries of the past, and the uncharted frontiers of spirituality. Join us as we explore the wonders of our world and beyond, all while embracing the roles of curious bystanders rather than experts. Together, we'll unravel the tapestry of existence, blending the dichotomies of knowledge and wonder. Get ready to question, ponder, and delve into the dualities that shape our understanding of reality on Duality Check. I'm Drew.
And I'm Dean, and welcome to episode number 61.
That's
where we're going to talk about some tarot. And I didn't actually ask you this ahead of time, so maybe I'll ask you this now. So as we do our intro segment, you can keep the idea stewing.
Okay.
But if we're going to do like a sort of demonstration reading, then you have to ask a question. So think of a question you can ask, maybe something that's not too personal, so you can maybe feel comfortable talking it through on the air with us.
Okay.
And we'll just...
general? Like, what kind of questions do they have? Are they meant to be personal?
They can be, absolutely, and it's probably most
used for it.
Yeah. Maybe we can together do a tarot reading for our podcast.
Okay.
Let's try that. I don't know how that'll turn out, but we'll try it.
Yeah, you have to talk me through. I've never really looked into it.
Yeah. One of the lessons from the book I'm reading about tarot is that you don't treat it as there's a difference between, they say, fortune-telling and divination.
Okay.
So one is trying to say this is the future, and the other is trying to say on the current path, what is the most likely future? Because you can always change your behavior, which will change the outcome.
Right.
So you're not looking for a total 100% accurate prediction. You're looking for where is this trend line going?
I see.
So you can choose how you want to. Anyway, so what if so it says, instead of saying what will happen on this day or whatever, we could ask a question about the podcast and say something like, with the current plans that we have in mind for how to grow the show and where we're going right now with it, what can we expect, I don't know, in the next year or so.
Okay.
And then, there will be a certain sort of reading.
So kind of set that as our intention as far as where we want the thread to unravel.
Right, because we're going to shuffle the cards, and you're going to keep that question in your mind as you're shuffling the cards. Yeah. And then you'll kind of just feel a moment where you stop shuffling.
You're ready to go. Yeah.
And then, we'll take the reading from there. But
okay. Sounds fun.
Let's start with the intro stuff. We got some messages.
Yep. The one and only. Greg, what's the number? 2846?
2846. Over on YouTube, he says, "Hi, bros. First of all, I want to thank you for looking into your website issues and considering Discord. That's awesome. So I have an update. The website should be working again now. So just go to dualitycheck.net. You can click on episodes and look through our entire catalog. I've got tags. And anyway, you can find all the episodes there. And
as far as the Discord goes, I'm looking into it. I'll have some more updates on the next episode, but definitely want to think about doing that. And, maybe once a week, or, if we ever go live or something, being able to chat with people live would be fun.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can also email us, hosts@dualitycheck.net.
Yep. Just got my email working. Dean's was always working, but now my email's working good. Mm-hmm. So be able to check that if you guys want to email us.
And then, So anyway, he says, as for this episode, it's great. So packed up with so much fascinating stuff. Drew's son blew the lid. Hearing this from your kid must have been mind-blowing, man. I've had similar stories over the years, but never from anyone who I actually know, sort of. And it hits. So wonderful stuff. And if it's not something to directly confirm that our existence is something more beyond this body, it's at least a big clue.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
definitely.
Now, as for DMT stuff, wow. Amazing experience, Dean. I had my fair share of LSD, mushrooms, and ecstasy like 30 or so years ago. Had some profound experiences too. I've also been following this topic for quite some time. Like Professor Matthew Johnson from Johns Hopkins University, Professor David Nutt from Imperial College of London, of lots of podcasts and interviews with people with these institutions. Also, mycologist Paul Stamets, this guy is incredible. He claims that he was suffering from a very severe case of stuttering, but got himself cured, what does that say? Within one session of heroic dose of psilocybin. It's nuts. So kudos to you. Awesome episode. Can't wait to talk to you on your Discord. Cheers.
Right on. Appreciate it, Greg.
Yeah. It was a cool experience. I'm glad it came off well.
Yeah.
Felt weird like trying to like give it a full treatment, and yeah, it definitely falls short. But
blew my mind. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Anyway, good times.
Yeah.
And then Amy sent us a message.
Yep.
She said, "Finished the episode. So good, Dean. Thank you for sharing. Look forward to the tarot talk next week."
All right, here we
I'm
go
excited
with
for
that.
the
Then.
tarot. So, what did you bring?
So yeah, we got a couple things here. So we can go with our normal Bashar video here, or we can jump to what I teased you about. This theory that's going around, or at least this is a theory that I heard about on this, Instagram called Future Tech, and it's about Jack Dorsey possibly being Satoshi Nakamoto.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's listed a bunch of stuff here, so I'll read some of this. Why Jack Dorsey is Satoshi Nakamoto. Jack Dorsey was one of around 1,300 confirmed cypherpunks in 1996. His UMR email. Wore an Adam Black t-shirt in the UMR yearbook. UMR students were called minors. Was a comp sci and math major with an interest in crypto. Member of ACM in 1997 to at least 1999. Created academic research paper submission and review software for Mira Digital Publishing. Known to use OpenBSD, Windows, Mac, and Linux. Confirmed to code in C, Python. Anyway, this is a lot of his, technical prowess.
He's still on the cypherpunk mailing list in 2000.
Yep.
Yeah.
And made a big post jokingly saying he is working on a network for drug traffickers. Posted a bio in 2003 that says he is into crypto, pseudonyms, 4 a.m. hacks, and more. Posted in 2003 that he is ending his dependence on the US dollar and creating a barter network. Referred to himself as Jack, J-A-K, Jack, instead of J-A-C-K. Jack was his pseudonym. Jack, who was a sailor, tweeted on 8/17/08, around the horn and home again, for that's the sailor's way. Bitcoin.org was registered the next day. And I didn't fact check any of this, so feel free to fact check if, Jack's Twitter profile from September 2007 to January 2009 said, he was a sailor. The original Bitcoin source code included an old sailor's adage, never go to sea with two chronometers, take one or three.
That's crazy.
The original Bitcoin source code documents are all timestamped as being created at exactly 4 a.m., just like Jack's bio. The original Bitcoin source code documents contain a brute force example vanity Bitcoin address that starts with NS17, or standing for Nakamoto Satoshi 17. The documents were created 1709. Satoshi accidentally logged into IRC on January 10th, 2009, using a real IP, revealing he was in California, where Jack was at the time. The first Bitcoin transaction took place on Jack's mom's birthday.
That's interesting.
Maybe bought her a bunch. Satoshi joined the Bitcoin forum on Jack's birthday, November 19th. November 19th. Satoshi's last mind block was on Jack's dad's birthday, May 3rd, 2010. Satoshi told Hal in an email about vanity Bitcoin addresses and showed him a second one beginning with NS. Jack sends Bitcoin to 4 addresses after Hal, including one that has JD2M in the middle. Jack lived in 2 Mint Plaza in San Francisco. Jack Dorsey 2 Mint being the handle. Satoshi tells Marty Malmi that he is really busy with work. Jack was busy launching his next startup, Square, now Block. Satoshi tells people on the forum not to donate Bitcoins to WikiLeaks on December 5th, 2010. Twitter is hit with a secret court order with a gag requirement to turn over everything it has about WikiLeaks on December 14th, 2010. Mm-hmm. Satoshi stopped logging into the forum on December 13th, 2010, and never returned. Jack was then made executive chairman of Twitter while remaining CEO of Square in March 28th, 2011, and he tweets that he is very busy with both. Satoshi sends his last email on April 23rd, 2011. And then Twitter, a tech lead suggests that Twitter might investigate Bitcoin or integrate Bitcoin payments in May of the same year. Jack Dorsey calls Bitcoin an amazing movement in September 2012 and said the Square would accept it if it became huge and accepted. And then some stuff. I mean, we can go over all this, I guess.
I'm just looking ahead on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is all interesting.
Yeah, I would love to see somebody like go through and actually fact check all this. Like show it all instead of just having it written out. This would be a good. But
the thing is like, at the end of the day, it is all theories because until Satoshi moves the coins, no one can, like, if you can say it and like predict when the coins are going to move, you know?
Right. That would be the only way to fully verify it.
Right. So as long as Satoshi's money doesn't move, then we can't really prove who's Satoshi.
It's such a cool modern day mystery.
Yeah, and I think I've heard a lot of people talk about it, and I think it's a lot of people's opinion. I kind of get along with this, is that it's good that Satoshi's gone, and because we're less apt now to like flock to someone as like
a leader,
the ruler of it all, right?
Yeah.
It's completely open source, and there's
and anonymous
different interests that all vie for, you know, their piece of control over Bitcoin, and everyone keeps the value up that way. Yep. All the people who run nodes and have giant mining rigs.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's interesting.
Bitcoin and crypto is definitely world changing, and there's a lot of talk of crypto right now.
Yeah.
Possibly being, you know, it's going to get an overhaul in the new administration as far as how the laws deal with it. So,
right. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah. If we can make crypto widely acceptable in the United States, it would change everything.
That's really where the power lies, huh?
Well, yeah, just think about it.
I mean, it does.
Everyone banks on their phone and then they send money across and they'll like
go to a store and just tap. You know?
Yeah.
Everything's
So
like super digitized.
if you want to use digital money, use the best digital money, which is a money that you can control and you don't have to pay fees or transfer fees.
Yeah.
Just network fees for Bitcoin, which are so cheap.
Yeah.
Everyone could have a wallet on their phone and just like, boom, send each other money.
It would just be interesting to see how the government would handle that via taxes somehow.
And that's the beauty of it is if you get like the right kind of wallet that can anonymize your identity, you don't necessarily, it doesn't have to be tied to you. Right. So that's you control your Bitcoin. Like unless you tell someone, they can't take it from you, even the government.
Right. I'm guessing what I'm saying is if this gets more integrated into society in a big way, and like people are demanding it to be like you get a paycheck and it's like goes straight into a Bitcoin wallet, like that transaction would be flagged and something that the government would have. And that's where, but I see it being the beginning of the process. Is getting it popular and widespread, and then you just make the population just has to, fully integrate it in so that the government can't do much about it.
It's just a better way to like Venmo or Cash App someone. Yeah. If you can just directly send them Bitcoin, it goes from you to them. You just pay fractions of a penny.
Well, and you could buy things for actual market price and stuff instead of like all the inflated cost of like the transactions. And stuff.
And then they can do whatever they want with it. They can keep it in crypto. They can switch it back to dollars. They can switch it to a local currency.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it could be truly international.
You can work with people internationally that way. Right?
Yeah.
And the more people actually transact in it, the more stable the price will end up being ultimately.
It's definitely looking like the future.
Crypto for sure. It's people own the money.
And then you mix in the AI stuff and...
yeah. It can go bad. Like,
yeah,
you shouldn't let someone control your Bitcoin wallet and say, oh, well, this is Bitcoin, but they control it. That's not really Bitcoin unless you control it in your own wallet.
Right.
It's the equivalent of having cash on you. Like it's yours. It's in your possession, period.
Yeah.
If you treat Bitcoin properly. It's just
you can have like a physical hardware key, like a wallet, literal wallet. That's like instead of having cards and cash, you're just carrying that thing around on your key ring that you never go anywhere without.
Right.
And can't be unlocked without the proper credentials anyways.
What's this one?
So yeah, this is Georges St-Pierre. He's a former UFC champion. And he and a few of his buddies were driving down in Arizona at some point back in like 2010, and they all had like a sighting together. And they all tell, and like the way he'll describe it in this clip I've got set up is pretty interesting. Like they all have some sort of like different version of what happened, but they all had something happen.
Interesting.
So yeah, just a little clip from his experience and what it was like for him. So I thought it would be interesting to play.
Yeah, let's check it out.
And we were on a road and we saw something. We experienced something that night that all five of us, like, it's undeniable. Like something, we saw something like, and
well, what did you see? Was it like lights in the sky, or was it?
Yeah, it was a light sort of coming towards us. And when it happened, I had an impression, and I don't have it's not a certainty, but I was under the impression that sort of the time sort of stopped. Not the car, but the car kept rolling. But like, when you get so intensely
Like you're mesmerized.
Yeah, like all of us were like we only had focus on that thing. So it came towards us, and then it changed direction, and then it changed again the direction, and it skipped, and it disappeared. And for that brief moment, it's sort of like everything else around us didn't matter. It was only this. Like we were like all of us, like silence, and we saw this thing. And after that, when it skipped and it disappeared, all of us were like, "Oh my God, what is this?" And the crazy thing about it is the way I saw it and the way my friends saw it, it was different because there's no point of reference. I saw something that there was no wings, there was no, it was no noise, but we were inside of a car. But I remember seeing an interview of, I think it was Rashad or Ali Abdelaziz talking about that thing.
Like around 2010, I'm in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I'm with GSP, Ali Abdelaziz, who's now like the manager of a lot of UFC fighters. And we're right on the highway. The traffic is starting to slow down. It like slows down to like almost a crawl. And we're like, why is everybody stopping? Why is everybody stopping? And then we start to look and see where everybody's looking. And then we roll down our windows and we look out and we just see like this, UFO, because of the way it was moving. It just didn't, it was that typical UFO movement where it was like moving and then it like was stopped and like defying gravity for a bit. And then it just stayed there for a second. And, the light pattern was weird as well too. And as everybody's sitting there watching it, it then just like shot off.
And the time that it lasted, and it didn't correspond to exactly what I saw. So I was thinking, if I talk about it publicly, I'm going to look like a liar because they don't describe the same thing. They all have their different description of what they've seen. Like I remember, I think it was, one of them said it was like almost a minute. And for me, it was only maybe 10, 15 seconds, if I remember.
Wow.
So we all have a different experience from that moment. So fast forward a few years now, I'm in Washington. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to ask the big question. So I told the lady in front of me, and as I'm talking to her, the entire table stopped talking. They all the attention turned on me. So I told her what I saw, and I asked her. I say, I just want to ask you, am I crazy, or did we all collectively became crazy for a few seconds and saw something like an illusion, or is there something out there that are not us,
Yeah.
And she told me, you're not crazy. There's something out there. I was like, boom, like, oh my God. Like it and these are the people that knows, like, because they're that's what they do, like if someone would know that it's those guys.
What was the the atmosphere after that?
Man, I'm not gonna lie. Since that weekend, I mean, now I sleep good, but the next few days after that weekend, it got me thinking so much that I had a hard time sleeping at night because these are the sort of questions that keep me up at night.
Yeah.
And I talked to a lot of these guys.
That's pretty much all.
I asked them a lot of questions.
But yeah, it's interesting. It's very interesting. I like this guy's podcast too. This Area 52. Have you ever heard of them?
Nope, never checked them out.
Andrew recommended them to me.
I will give it a subscribe.
Yeah. Pretty sure it was Andrew who recommended it to me.
Nice. But
yeah, it's interesting. At least you get two accounts of the same thing there.
Yeah.
And
like he says, they describe it differently, but not significantly
so differently.
Yeah. It's not.
Time is, relevant in those situations.
Well, and people are subjective. They have their own points of view. They have their own vocabularies and
their own
comprehension of what to describe something as. Like everyone's going to tell it from their own vantage point with their best words that they can think of to explain it.
Exactly.
And when it's something outside of your frame of reference, like everyone's going to go different places to make associations to try and compare it to something.
Yep.
So you're going to get different stories.
I thought that was pretty interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the skipping motion that he describes.
Yeah, the skipping motion.
Because I've heard that before. Like people describe it that way.
Yeah, I've heard people describe it that
And
way
it
too.
always made me think of higher dimensional travel because of like what we might see if a higher dimensional entity or being or craft or whatever was moving through our 3 dimensions. It would look so crazy and like something moving slow or just not doing anything crazy, and like everything they're doing is really slow, but they're in a higher dimension, so it looks like they're just skipping along, or the way that they're moving in that higher dimension, we only see it poke through a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it looks like, this like interesting like mode of travel, and like how it wouldn't be affected by gravity
Right.
or anything.
Yeah. Like different types of anti-gravity also make sense for that type of motion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you hear also a lot of like a waving motion they can make sometimes when they're stopped.
Yeah.
But like the light changes and then like the instantaneous acceleration. Skipping has been described a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about this one? A meteorologist?
Oh yeah, let's check this one out. It's just
It's like
an
a live
interesting one.
video.
It's like
They catch one.
a live feed where he's like describing the weather, and then he just sees something go across, and it was moving pretty quick. And he comments on it
Check it out.
a little bit.
Day forecast moving forward. Wonder what that is right there. That's pretty interesting. Moving really fast. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at what we've got here. Just interesting stuff flying around the sky. Higher 7-day forecast moving forward.
Yeah, it looks like it comes
It goes
in.
up and then
But that
down a
could be
bit.
the way this is edited because it's a narrow video. I want to see the whole source one.
Yeah, it could be like a wide frame that's like has like a breaking point in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a
Or
good
it's
point.
like squished in.
And it could just be like a bird or a plane. And it just looks like it's going up and then down like that.
Yeah, exactly. More of like a perspective thing because of a distortion.
There was one other thing I wanted to share, and it was just cool because it's...
But either way, that was still fast.
Yeah. Where'd it go now? This thing. Maybe drop this in there for you real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Put it at the bottom.
I wish the drones I filmed were real. Whoa, what is this?
So this is a mechanical tesseract that they are showing move in 4 dimensions.
Interesting. Oh, it's just music. Wow.
Yeah.
It's like a moving sculpture.
Yeah. Showing like what it would look like. It's cool.
Wow.
Isn't that trippy?
It is weird to like think about how to project higher dimensional space into lower dimensions. And it's weird. Like the way we can use 3D to simulate 2D.
Mm-hmm.
Or 2D to simulate 3D. Like,
Right.
I feel like we should have a better way of doing 4 to 3. But because we don't know what 4 is exactly like, because we're not in it. So displaying it in 3 is a problem because of that. Like, what do you translate it from?
Because you need to have a reference point as far as like what it actually looks like from a viewing standpoint.
Yeah. But you would think in theory, if you can like draw something simulated 3D with 2D, that you
It's
should be able
possible.
to draw something simulated 4D from 3D.
Right.
But maybe not.
Well, I've seen a lot of good like 3-dimensional or not. They're like online videos where they create like make it look like a 4-dimensional world, and they're actually pretty good. I mean, obviously, I don't know if that's correct or not, but they're all pretty cool in the way. I mean, it all seems to get fractal at that point. Like reality in itself. Once you go further dimensional up.
Right. All right, cool. Well, let's take our first break, and then let's talk about tarot. I'm actually excited to get into this one.
Let's do it.
All right. This is TJ Colt. This is TJ's Colors.
Much time to waste, and I have stolen too many times for me to change my ways. I have wasted too much time. I feel the difference, but never on the inside. I see your colors coming, well, your ears are trying to hunt me down. I've rinsed the rest off my body. Your colors don't stain me now. Well, I'm a spectator of things passing by. Like they say, I live my life all in good time. I've been a giver, oh, what a waste. Like an old lover, I've been living my days all in bad taste. Well, I see your colors coming, well, your ears are trying to hunt me down. I've rinsed the rest off my body. Your colors don't stain. Your colors don't stain me now.
Welcome back.
All right, we are back.
And if we sound different, it's because we decided to put a pause on this episode and restart it.
Yeah, we both
whole
got a
day
little
later.
tired last night, so we were dealing with the kids waking up and just being tired, and we just decided to push it to the next day. So if we sound any different, that
Yep.
is why. Hopefully with more energy. The whole first segment we recorded, we just kept in. So anyway,
Yep.
we are starting off. We're going to get into the tarot here. Dean's getting it set up, and I'm going to do our new little segment and read Marcus Aurelius and Meditations. So this is book 6, entry 38.
Right.
Frequently consider the connection of all things in the universe and their relation to one another. For in a manner, all things are implicated with one another, and in all in this way are friendly to one another. For one thing comes in order after another, and this is by virtue of the active movement and mutual conspiration and the unity of the substance.
Huh. Everything comes into, it says everything comes into being because of each other. Was that what it said there?
Says, for in a manner, all things are implicated with one another. And all of this, and in this way, are friendly to one another. For one thing comes in order after another, and this is by virtue of the active movement and mutual conspiration and the unity of the substance. So, making a kind of point that everything,
All
by
is
virtue
one.
of existing and rubbing up next to one another, is one, just, and has a connection in some meaningful way, at some deeper or lower level.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a very psychedelic thought for a Stoic.
Right.
Marcus Aurelius. I wonder what his inspiration for that
Where you got that from?
is. Yeah. Huh. All right. So we are going to talk about some tarot. So I've got a particular deck here. So this all started because I'm reading this book. It's called Modern Magick, 12 Lessons in the High Magical Arts by Donald Michael Craig. And it's sort of a introduction manual to like actually practicing magic
In the modern day.
Yeah, so it gives you like different rituals that you can do, and walks you through how they work and a little about where they come from and how they're supposed to work and all that. And so a big part of the practice is tarot.
Okay.
He talks about using tarot as a way to essentially gain a little bit of like guidance and insight before you attempt to use magic on something.
Okay. So it's maybe to like prime your brain to like understand how it works.
Well, it's more like so he talks about there's three kinds of magic, right? There's white magic, which is meant to like serve others and help people, or really to do God's will. And then there's black magic, which is meant to, harm others or yourself. And then there's neutral magic, or gray, which is, you can, if you ask for something for yourself to make your life better, you're not harming anyone, but you're also not necessarily serving God's will in that. So it's gray.
Right. You might sometimes help people and sometimes.
Yeah. Well, and the goal
Self-serve
is to try and avoid being a dark, practicing black magic, right? So they don't want to harm people. And so he talks about, in order to avoid unknowingly bringing harm to people, that it's wise to consult something like tarot before using magic for something.
Oh, I see.
So it's a way to kind of gain insight on what might happen if you were to go through with a particular magical practice for a sort of particular reason.
I gotcha.
So he uses it a lot as a guide for that. He goes through, I'll read this section here where he talks about the difference between fortune telling and divination.
Yeah, I wanted to hear that part again.
So he says here, it is important to understand the difference between fortune telling and divination. Fortune telling says that something must happen. Divination, such as with tarot cards, never says what must happen. It only indicates what probably will happen if you continue on the path you're currently traversing. According to this view, you have the freedom to ensure something happens or prevent it from occurring. You have free will, and choice is always up to you. Fortune telling would say that, as an example, you will have an accident on a boat on a specific date. Right. Divination would tell you that a boat trip at that time could cause problems, and you are advised to stay away from boats. You can then either avoid the boat trip or be extra careful when on the boat. Fortune telling says you have no choice. You will be on the boat at that time and you will have an accident. Divination says you have free will. You can move to the desert, or at least you can stay away from boats. In these lessons, we strongly affirm free will and not predestination. So it's meant.
So tarot is more divination then.
Well,
right?
Keep in mind, this is the book I'm reading from is a book about practicing magic, right? So this is coming from this standpoint, and you don't necessarily have to have a magic practice to practice tarot either.
Right.
But if you practice magic, then tarot would probably be a part of it.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's like a long history of tarot, and it's probably where we get like modern playing cards from. Right. What is now the most like popular or the most agreed upon set anyway, because there's all sorts of variations, is a type called the Rider-Waite-Smith. And they essentially have a system that consists of 22 what are called major arcana, and these represent like larger celestial forces and big themes.
Like the main archetypes for the...
Yeah. And then the minor arcana is what would resemble like a playing card deck.
That's what actually looks like the deck of cards, right?
Yeah, so it's got 4 suits all the way up from ace to king. But instead of like jack, queen, king, they have like a prince and a princess and a king and a queen. So there's actually a little more in there than a classic playing card deck. But
you said it was 54 cards, isn't it? Or 56 or something like that?
I think it's 54, and a normal playing card deck is 52.
So yeah, it's got the prince and the princess, or the princess, or whatever it is.
Forget how that works exactly, but anyway, we're going to be doing today is a reading with just the major arcana.
Okay.
And he says in this book that to teach the minor arcana is like a whole extra thing, and he says like he recommends a bunch of books to keep reading about learning it more deeply. So I haven't really delved into that myself yet. So today, as an intro, we will just be focusing on the major arcana and specifically the view of it from this Introduction to Magic book. And we'll be using a tarot deck called the Darkwood Tarot.
Yeah.
So when I was reading this book, I was telling my buddy G-Man about the book I was reading and talking about wanting to buy a tarot deck. And he ended up buying one for me. Which is funny because there's this like whole superstition in tarot that like you're not supposed to buy your own deck and stuff.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, he even addresses it in the book. He's like, it's just superstition. He's like, if you want to keep to the spirit of it though, just make sure you support like a local shop and you're not buying from some
Amazon.
Right. But before I was going to go out and buy one, my friend gave me this deck. So I was like, all right, cool.
So you're keeping with tradition?
Yeah, I was going to go for a more like traditional Rider-Smith Waite deck, but this is one I probably wouldn't have picked up, but it's really interesting in that it's more like narrative. So here, let me show you. This is like the type of artwork. And I'll show you guys a picture.
Like the classic one?
On the classic Rider-Waite-Smith deck. And the people who made this deck were involved in the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, which was the Aleister Crowley's secret society he was involved with for a long time.
Interesting.
Of magical practitioners.
Okay.
And the one we're doing is much more modern, stylish sort of art. It's written, I think, with more of a perspective of, it's written as a narrative. So like each card in the major arcana, if you read the card entries from 0 to 22, well, 0 to 21, it'll trace the path of a witch walking through a dark wood and interacting with different things as she's on her journey.
That's interesting.
Rather than more conventionally, it's just like the symbology and the accepted meanings of the different cards. This tries to like take some of that complexity and just put it in a narrative format. Anyway, you'll see what I mean as we get into it.
Yeah, but, I'm very interested now.
Thought maybe I could read a bit of the introduction here.
Okay.
So, dear reader, welcome to the Darkwood Tarot. The forest is ever so happy you have arrived. I sensed your presence, felt an opening, and called to you. Its thickets and thorns were wishing, waiting, and longing for your presence. You've responded to its siren song, and now it promises to reward you deeply. Pathways, visions, and delights are prepared for your adventure. Are you ready? The Darkwood Tarot is a traditional tarot, but it arrives at your fingertips with an extra dose of delicious darkness. The Darkwood Tarot is a shadow tarot deck. A shadow deck requires you to examine hidden aspects of the psyche during a reading. It is designed to guide you into uncharted territory, and you may not have explored in a traditional tarot reading. Shadow work is challenging and it is not for the faint of heart. You'll require a heavy dose of bravery and commitment to truth if you are to keep reading. So what they're referring to here is in normal tarot, in like a more classic deck, if a card comes upright, it has a certain meaning. If it comes downturned, then it has like a reversed meaning. But the way this guidebook is written is it has a shadow meaning. So the flipped meaning has more to do with like shadow work with your psyche.
Okay.
So if you're used to tarot and the meanings we're going to provide for upside down cards here don't fit with what your experiences are, then that's probably why.
Okay.
Anyway, so why don't we get to the part of this where he talks about the reading we're going to do?
Yeah, I'm excited to give it a try.
Yeah. Oh, he also talks about the Rider-Waite-Smith deck and says that these people who made it, who were part of the Golden Dawn, had actually like kept back some of the meaning, some of the like secrets of it. And so he asked the question, well, if it's secretive, like the full meaning of it is secret, like should it still be used? And he says yes, because the simple answer is that it works. It's a great deck in and of itself. It needs no further justification than that. And then I just want to do this part about like what is the correct tarot deck to use. So he says, is there an ultimate and perfectly correct tarot deck? The answer, unfortunately, is both yes and no. There can never be a universal deck that is perfect for everyone because each person is a unique individual. The only deck that will be perfectly correct for you will be the one that, after years of practice, study, and meditation, you are inwardly urged to create. Until that time, simply find a deck that follows the standard described earlier in this course and work with it. If you find something better later on, change and use it. If you come back later to the original one you liked or change again, that's fine. There's really only one important choice besides the deck. Besides that the deck follow the standard number of the cards and divisions, it should be a deck you will use regularly. Then he talks about there's another practical reason for doing divination and not fortune telling. In many states, this is where he talks about it not being legal to do fortune telling, but to do divination.
For money, at least, right?
Right. So he says here, on the following pages, I'll give a method for doing a divination using just the major arcana cards. I will note here that a good reading can be used giving only these 22 cards. They tend to represent changing forces rather than the more static forces represented by the minor arcana. Using the minor arcana can give more detail, but using just the major can give you more information on how things are changing or will change in your life. In the diagram, you can see 2 triangles, the split hexagram. So that's that.
Yeah. That's
diagram.
right. You showed me that yesterday. Yeah, okay.
So I'll put this up for you guys to take a look at. The upper triangle represents spiritual forces being brought down to the physical plane. So that's that upside down triangle. Mm-hmm. Spiritual coming down to the physical. The lower triangle shows conscious and unconscious desires and what is truly wanted or needed. The card at the center represents the final outcome of the matter under question. Here are step-by-step instructions on how to use this tarot spread to determine the outcome of gray magic. This reading may be used for many purposes.
So that's the one we're going to do?
Yep.
Sweet.
So it says to set up the major arcana in a packet so that they all follow facing one direction, which is how they are right now. If they are facing down, they should have the card titled The Fool at the top of the pack. So the Fool should be 0. That should be at the top. Are they backwards? If you have it facing down, that should be at the top. So yeah, reverse them real quick.
Oh, okay. I got you.
The 21 card, the universe or world card, should be at the bottom.
Yep.
Okay. So now formulate your question. So what is the question we're going to work with today?
Do I say it?
Yeah, go ahead and say
it. What will be the outcome of using magic to make our podcast successful?
Okay. So now you're going to keep that question in your head and focus on that question as you start shuffling the deck. So while you're doing that, now formulate your question. It should be in the style of what will be the outcome if I use magic to blank. Do not ask the card, should I do such and such, as this puts the responsibility of your actions on the cards rather than on you. You should be seeking advice, not making the tarot into a pseudo-mommy and asking for instructions. While concentrating on your question, mix up the cards in any manner or fashion you desire. Continue to do so until you get a feeling it is time to stop. If you feel it is appropriate, mix the cards end for end so that in the reading, some may come up reversed.
Okay.
All right. Cut the cards into 3 piles. And then pick them up in the opposite direction so that you've reversed the order. All right. Now lay the cards face down on your table in the manner showed in the diagram. So make sure I keep the same direction you had them. The first 3 cards make up the upper downward pointing triangle. Cards 4, 5, and 6 make up the lower upward pointing triangle. The 7 card goes in the middle between the 2 triangles. So from your perspective, this is card number 1, card number 2, card number 3. Then card number 4, 5, 6, and 7. take a picture of this so you guys can see what we're working with. All right, cool. When you turn over the cards, we want to flip them so that it doesn't reverse the order.
Right.
Now we're going to turn over cards in the positions 1 and 2. Both positions represent the unknown spiritual influences. Card 2 will have a stronger effect than card 1. So we're going to interpret both of these cards. So here is card 1. Go ahead and read out the number, the title, and then describe what we're looking at there.
So it's an upside down 1 card, the Magician. Can I flip it over to see it more?
Mm-hmm.
It looks like some sort of witch with like a goblet and a sword and some cards, maybe a wand pointing in the air. There's an owl on a branch above with an infinity symbol above her head. Some sort of like lotus flowers, bush in the back. And the table in front of her says, as above, so below. It's interesting. So yeah, it was upside down Magician.
All right, so this is meant to be spiritual influence, it says?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Spiritual influences, unknown spiritual influences. So I'll read the entry here for the Magician in the Darkwood Tarot book.
The shadow one?
Yeah, well, I'll read the whole entry, and then at the end of it, it'll give the shadow meaning.
Okay.
So the Magician is the archetype of magic and sorcery. All the magic of the world resides inside you. White flowers as pale as the moon blossom and release puffs of sweet, sugary pollen toward the Shadow Witch. She inhales deeply and stops to consider who would cast such a powerful flower spell. The hooting of an owl directs her attention towards an old woman. A crone stands at a ceremonial table. The Shadow Witch wonders if she is looking at a vision of her future self. Everything she meets inside the wood is part of who she is. None of us are actually separate from each other. The witch is the magician, and the magician is the witch. Just you are the Shadow Witch, and the Shadow Witch is you. The magician stands in a posture of enchantment, breathing life and energy into the wood. She points her right arm into the sky, the spirit world, the place of inspiration and ideas. It represents your highest potential. With her left hand, she channels acute energy through her like a lightning rod, grounding the electricity to the earth. She could direct this power anywhere. She is the conduit and literal embodiment of the 3 worlds we live in: upper spiritual, middle material, and lower subconscious. Each of us is an energetic channel. Her flowing gray hair symbolizes the magician's life, experience, and wisdom. She never blocks, disrupts, or disparages the natural flow of energy with harmful self-hate, negativity, or feelings of unworthiness. She focuses on the present and never looks to the past or the future, just like a flower or bird who never stops to think about what it did yesterday or what it will do tomorrow. Her presence keeps her in step with natural magic. She is the energetic filter of the creative force who ignites all things by the power of her attention. True magic is not the manipulation of other people, places, or events, but the ability to master the self. Real magic teaches you to control your inner experience. Oh, hang on. I didn't mean for that. I had some music coming in there, which you guys won't hear.
Yeah.
I'll have the break music come in once we're done with this card. True magic is not the manipulation of other people, places, or events, but the ability to master the self. Real magic teaches you to control your inner experience. If you allow it to, the outer world will rearrange itself in ways you couldn't even imagine. The magician separates herself from her thoughts swords, emotions, which are cups, desires, which are wands, and the trick of the material world, pentacles. By becoming a silent, active observer, she follows a path of least resistance. The magician pays attention and stays open to signs, omens, and messages. She knows when to apply pressure and when to back off. She does not fear the unknown, she embraces it. She knows who she is. Oh, she knows she is who created her reality. She seeks what is seeking her. The owl is a magical omen, a symbol of clairvoyance and astral projection. Owls are nocturnal creatures who see what others do not. Tarot cards are spread across the magician's table because the tarot is a gateway into the esoteric arts. The table is carved with the magician's axioms, as above, so below. What is true for the world is true for us. What is true for us is true for the world. We exist between shifting polarities, but all is actually one. The world is not outside of you, it is inside. 2 triple spiraled pre-Celtic triskelion symbols are engraved on her table, reflecting the creative principle of the universe. A luminescent floats above her head. It is a symbiotic flow of life energy and dynamism that makes life possible. Her dress is cinched at the waist by a snake eating its own tail. It is an alchemical symbol reminding us of life's energetic circle. Nothing ever disappears. It simply changes form. So that's the entry for the witch. That's like the narrative entry. Okay. And then here's what it says as a shadow meaning. The maniacal need to control all things, interfering with other people's business, manipulation of others for false sense of power and for personal entertainment, showing off to inflate a sense of personal value, purposefully pushing someone else's buttons and seeking reactions and chaos. Interesting. So I wonder what do you think that could mean?
Because the meaning is what you're supposed to kind of get from it, I guess.
I'm
it's curious just what the other meaning would have been had it been not upside down.
Yeah, the upright meaning says charisma, dynamic personality, working wonders, ability to take action, purposeful magic, asserting one's will over the self, supreme self-governance, the ability to realize one's full potential, activity and intention, clear and concise goals. But specifically, these are all upside down. I think we may have flipped them from when you handed them to me. Yeah.
I mean, I did flip some of them upside down when we were shuffling.
Literally all of them are upside down, though. So let's simplify our lives a little. This one would be the upside down one then. All right, so yeah, we get the magician in position 1, which is unseen spiritual influence in regards to the question of what would happen if we use magic.
Maybe it's saying you're focusing on the wrong aspect.
In the shadow meaning?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Possibly. Like successful is ambiguous in the sense of even between me and you, right?
Right.
We probably have a different idea of successful.
What does success mean?
So maybe that would have a lot to do with it. Like, because we haven't fully like sat down and like put together like a 5-year plan necessarily. So you know what I mean? So it's like we're doing this because it's fun and we get to talk about stuff we both like to talk about and be together and hang out. But yeah, as far as it being like a business or successful in a sense, it's already really kind of successful in what it's done for us, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But I think, I think we just have to like figure out what that means if we for the future, right?
Yeah. Specifically, like, what would be something that the spiritual influences would be having to do with that magician card? So, I don't know. It's tough. But let's take a break here, and then we'll move on to the next card in our reading. And you guys can follow along at home with your own decks, do your own reading with your own questions, and let me know how you guys like this reading. But we'll be back. This is Stevie Nader, The Fall.
It was fall, life was pulling away from us all. But you begged it to stay, sent out calls for the warming sun rays from the hall to the open doorway. I can still recall the feeling from the fall when I knew time was all I had to make me understand the whole truth. I can still recall the feeling from the fall when I knew life was still frozen over and glossed winter kill from the damaging frost of your guilt, tied inside you and taught lovers will offer to you for now. I can still recall the feeling from the fall when I knew time was all I had to make me understand the whole truth. I can still recall the feeling from the fall when I knew. And through the fog, I saw I really was nothing more than broken pieces of you in my hand. I can still recall the feeling from the fall when I knew time was all I had to make me understand the whole truth. I can still recall the feeling from the fall when I knew, yeah. I can still recall the feeling from the fall when I knew that time was all I had to make me understand the whole truth. I can still recall the feeling from the fall when I knew, yeah. I knew, yeah. I found the truth, yeah. I knew, yeah. I found the truth.
Welcome back.
All right.
Segment 3. Let's get back into it so we don't run out of time on this.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to do card position 2. So this is the hidden spiritual aspects, right?
Okay, yep. Mm.
And it says that this one affects our reading much more than card 1 does.
Yeah, that's right.
So have a look at that.
The number 2 card is number 2. And it's the High Priestess. And it's a lovely lady with a long flowy dress, red hair, like a moon necklace holding a scroll that says tarot in moonlight. And then there's 2 trees kind of flanking her, and one has a D and the other one has a W on it.
I think that's for the dark wood.
Oh, maybe. Yeah,
She got the moon above her
the
head.
moon above her head, the moonlight.
She's also got a crescent moon necklace.
That's what I say. Yeah, yeah.
And on the sleeves of her.
Oh yeah, on the sleeves of the cuffs of her, the sleeves of her flowy dress. have boons as well.
So the High Priestess is the archetype of the authentic self. You are the divine whisper of the universe, it says here. The Shadow Witch feels water tickle her toes. She wonders if she's wandered into a puddle or a stream. Silky liquid floods the path. Gaping trees groan as they teepee towards each other, their branches reaching high for a full moon they will never touch. Lunar sparkles glisten across the deluge. Out of the mist and moisture, a figure takes shape. The luminous presence of the High Priestess rises before the Shadow Witch. The High Priestess holds a scroll, silently unrolls it. The word tarot appears. This is the book of your life, containing every possibility, every imaginable outcome. It is an ever-changing and all-encompassing. The High Priestess is the blueprint of your soul and the pure authenticity of the self. She is everything you were and will be. She is your container of soul knowledge. She is inner wisdom waiting to be revealed. She is your ebb and flow, the cyclical energy of your life. Two trees enclose the High Priestess from either side, reflecting the dual polarities we move between in the material world. This dark and light, awake and asleep, highs and lows, and all shades in between. The dark wood's initials are carved into the bark, marking the threshold into the wood's innermost secrets. What treasure is locked away inside of you? The High Priestess's secret is silence. Silence is the space of manifestation. Silence is the space of infinite possibility. It is the expansiveness containing all four elements. Silence is the space between the cards in a tarot reading. Sort out what is meaningful to you and sow your intentions inside the silence like seeds in a garden. The High Priestess's dress dissolves into water because she is the front of all waters found within the tarot deck. She is lunar tides rushing rivers, the lady of the lake. She is the amniotic fluid that sustained you. The High Priestess is your special details, your likes and dislikes, your talents and fascinations. The full moon rises above her head while a waxing moon is strung around her neck, reflecting her lunar connection to the cyclical nature of the seasons in your life. Who you are spills out naturally when you are true to yourself. She is the subtle self who becomes stronger while acting in alignment with universal forces. She is the space beyond word, image, and sound. She is knowing that extends outward into the ever-expanding, ever-unfolding you. It says the meaning: silence, secrets, darkness, evolution of the soul, the blueprint of your personality, talents, and traits, a deep knowledge and third eye vision, activated intuition, lunar cycles, inner knowledge, personal authenticity. So, in the context of the question and the position, maybe this is like the spirits saying, you know, that we have to be true to ourselves and true to our...
And that's where the art, you know, the actual like medium will, you know, lend more true to ourselves the more we just stick to the way we want to do things and not try to force it.
Right.
Yeah. Which seems like what we've been doing more and more of as we go with the podcast. So
just following
and it feels
our
more
natural
flow.
interests.
And it feels more organic and natural and yeah, cool.
All right. So card number 4. Oh, another thing I wanted to point out, I don't know if I pointed this out enough. The reason I'm having you like look at it, take it in, is because ultimately these like guidebooks are meant to like guide you, but
to like let you see what it is.
But ultimately, if you are struck by a thought or a feeling or a meaning just by looking at the cards and the symbols on the cards, then you're supposed to go with that above whatever any reading says.
Okay.
Anyway, so yeah. Step 8, we're going to turn over card number 4. This card represents your unconscious desires in the matter. Don't be surprised if you discover that your real inner reason has little or no relation to your original or outer reason. Interpret this card. It was right side up.
Okay. So card 3 here is the third card.
No way.
1, 2, 3 so far.
All right.
This is the Empress. We've got another lady here, looks to be possibly pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And has a long, flowy red dress with a... let me see this. Get some good light here.
Do you want to look at this? It's bigger.
Oh, yeah. So she's got like vines and bats strung on the branches that look like spider legs behind her.
3 bats, right?
1, 2, 3, yeah. 3 bats standing beside what looks to be a heart-shaped knot in a tree or something,
Mm-hmm.
with like a cross with a circle, which is also around her belt. That same symbol. And there's a open book
Almost
at the base of the
partially
tree.
hidden by her dress.
Yeah, behind it a bit. And she's fair complexion, you know. Dark wood, literally, in this area. Kind of a green mist surrounding her. Looks like embers or something, like kind of shooting around too.
Yeah.
Embers of some sort, like maybe a fire would be in the foreground that we aren't seeing, right? And there's like embers shooting up. But yeah, 3 bats would look like vines or spider webs, but probably vines. But yeah, don't these like branches look like spider legs?
They do, yeah.
Okay.
And then I'll do this as we're doing this too. This is the Rider-Waite-Smith Classic Empress. You can see the same
Okay.
symbol,
Same symbol
there.
yeah.
Seems to
Red
be holding
tinted.
something in her hand there.
Sitting on
Some
like
sort
a
of
red
orb or wand.
Yeah.
All right, so the Empress. The Empress is the archetype of the mother. Your passion is the blueprint to your magic. A baby's cry echoes in the silent wood. This haunting sound tempts the Shadow Witch to peer around a mammoth tree and lock eyes with a reclining figure dressed in a red gown with a hand resting on her belly. The Empress expresses every creative urge bursting forth inside of you. The Empress guides you in creating and inventing your life. She is the expression of your talents. Her urge to expand and unfold is as primal as sex. This is why she is also the most sensual card of the deck. The Empress reflects activity and brilliance. She is a pulsating, breathing world of energetic expansion and beatific vision or connection. She is the pure creative expression of the ever-expanding universe in human form. The Empress contains the passion and energy to create and destroy life. She is the insanity driving an artist to the brink of madness. As the mother archetype, she bears the burden of societal fantasy, for mothers are expected to be all things to all creatures. The Empress's pregnancy is metaphorical. It conveys birthing an idea, project, or person into the world. She rests upon a witch's hand, a tree trunk with finger branches. A witch's hand is a powerful gathering point of magic and energy. Hands are the creative portal of the body, fashioning all things from food to invention, love and gesture, contact and caress. Bats hang upside down as representations of dormant potential soon to awaken within you. Mm-hmm. The Empress's red dress aligns with menstruation, the membrane of life. She is a doorway, the threshold through which the birth waters of the High Priestess flow. The Empress takes the High Priestess's blueprint into the reality of the physical world. The Empress siphons the inner sanctum of the High Priestess out into the macrocosm of sensual formation. The sign of Venus is inside the heart of love. She is sex appeal, ambition, and above all things, unbounded passion. The Empress appears in a reading to remind you of your power of invention and imagination. Your passions and intuitions are the clues to the unfolding mystery of you. The universe supports all creative action. Manifest your visions and make the world a more beautiful place while living the life of your dreams.
Yeah. Okay.
It says, for meaning, it says mother figure, creation, artistic ability, soft, gentle, nurturing touch, reinvention and expression, confidence in the abundance of the soul, fertility in birth, sensorial pleasure and earthly delights, stepping in tune with seasonal change, displaying natural abundance in all things, the nurturing of self-expression and potential.
Okay.
So,
That definitely fits with what we are trying to accomplish.
but it says this is like the unconscious like motivations for the question in regard to the question. So that's interesting. So maybe this is trying to say that the unconscious motivation is for that sort of creativity, for that expression.
To like find a place to have an outlet. Yeah. Okay.
All right. So then we move on. And we're going to do card number 5. I believe that's 5, yeah. Oh, no, wait.
4, right?
4, 5, 6. Or 4, 5, 6. So we're going to do card 4. 4 represents your unconscious desires in the matter. Oh, sorry. Card 3 was spiritual advice for the matter.
Oh.
So this was spiritual advice. So
let's talk about that then. Okay.
yeah, so in that context, spiritual advice
Is to follow your highest
is to
creative
follow
passion,
the
and find the outlet and continue to.
So it's telling us to just be true to ourselves and to,
continue to create and to follow the passion where it may lead.
That's a good card for that position.
Yeah.
All right, so then
So
this one is 4, and this is unconscious desire.
Okay, so this is unconscious desire.
And it says, don't be surprised if you discover your real inner reason has little or no relation to your original or outer reason.
Okay. So this is card position 4, but card 10. And this is Wheel of Fortune. And it's got a large wheel with spokes and a snake slithering down the left side, kind of turning it, I would imagine, in my head. And then there's like these little goblin bat fairy thingies kind of all over the image, reading books, opening books. One's like laying on the wheel as it turns, it seems. There's a gray one, a green one, a red one, a brown one, and another, like a lighter gray.
Yeah, I think the 4 in every corner maybe represent the elements.
Maybe. You got the red one kind of riding the wheel. Then you got a hand coming in from the left side out of frame here. That's kind of looks to be maybe turning the wheel as well. Yeah, you got that snake. Kind of like reminds me of that scene in Lion King with where they go into like the viney, like pokey bushes. In that scene where he's like running away.
Oh, interesting.
And like that's kind of dropped it.
Like after the elephant graveyard or whatever?
Yeah, basically the elephant graveyard, yeah.
Is it weird that I remember the structure of Lion King based on the Super Nintendo game?
That game, dude. Yeah, absolutely. That's where a lot of my like memories stem from too. So funny. But yeah, that was the first thing I thought of when I saw these like pokey vines in the background.
Mm.
Like the elephant graveyard. So okay.
All right.
What's this
So
one?
we're keeping in mind that this is unconscious desires in the matter.
Okay.
So the Wheel of Fortune is the archetype of fate, fortune, and destiny. The symphony of life is a perpetual wheel of motion. The Shadow Witch fell out of time as she visited the hermit. Time is an illusion, after all. The hermit gave the witch specific instructions: find the wheel, make it spin. It didn't take long for the witch to discover an old spindle wheel covered in curious creatures. She feels the dark woods spring to life as she becomes the activating principle of the universe. The Wheel of Fortune reflects the motion of the universe and the ebb and flow of time. It is cyclical rhythms, morning, noon, and night. It is the rotation of the earth as it travels around the sun. The wheel reflects ups and downs and life cycles. The secret to ultimate equilibrium is to find your center point. Can you focus on the center of the wheel? Can you place yourself in the stillness? If you do, no matter how fast or slow the wheel spins, no matter if you are moving up into pleasure or moving down into anxiety, you can access steadiness. This unshakable quality is a response from the truth of who you are. The snake plummets down while the fairy rises. Each corner direction holds an elemental of earth, air, fire, and water. The wheel marks the halfway point between the Fool and the World cards. The four corner fairies foreshadow the world to come, and their books hold the secrets of the elementals.
Okay.
So it says, meaning is life's ups and downs, the rhythm and flow of existence, expansion and movement. The Wheel of Fortune turns in your favor, the ability to ride with challenges and blessings, accepting help from the unseen.
Okay.
So what do you think that means in context of unconscious motivations or unconscious desires in the manner of the question?
I guess maybe it's unconscious desires for this would be maybe for, in context of the question, would be maybe desire, unconscious desire to have this podcast be the thing that kind of is steady through all the ups and downs of everything outside of, work and family and, society and all these things. And like, this is a place where we can like talk through a lot of these ideas and things, and instead of like keeping them in our head.
Yeah.
And not expressing them to, even if it's just one other person, right?
Right.
Like that might be an unconscious desire to like help maintain steadiness, like it's saying to focus on the center wheel, on the center of the wheel, so that the ups and downs can be more steady instead of feeling so overwhelming.
Well, it also says expansion and movement. And then in the Rider-Waite-Smith website here's the original card design. Or not the original, but the Rider-Waite-Smith version of the card design.
Mm-hmm.
And their little description here says destiny, fortune, success, elevation, luck, felicity. So maybe it's saying the unconscious desire is actually the success, the sort of is sort of the conscious desire in a way. Interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah. Okay, so position 5.
Yep.
This represents conscious desire in the matter.
So this one is upside down and it is the 6th card, labeled Lovers. And it's two people, a man and a woman, embracing, looking upwards towards like a dark hooded figure with large black wings, black cloak, shield, partially and hooded, shielding their face. The two lovers embrace, and the man is looking at the woman, and the woman is looking up. And it looks like they're being engulfed in some sort of, or they're sitting in some sort of like, they're actually sitting on each other. Mm-hmm. So it looks like they're like having sex or something now that I see that part. And they're embraced, but there's somebody looming over them.
So let's see what this says. It says the lovers are the archetype of love. Love is the unifying, expansive, and binding force of the universe. The shadow witch finds her body growing weary. She sits down upon a soft, mossy enclosure and rests her eyes. Her black cat companion curls at her feet. Visions of the boy and his kiss returns to her as she drifts into sleep. Love is the last wild, unknown frontier. It is the metaphysical, occult, and transcendental nature of attraction and desire. The biological urge to reproduce and our impulse towards romantic love is one of the most powerful forces known to humankind. Love, like universal breath, causes our bodies to contract and expand like the universe. Romantic desire has begun and ended wars, raised kingdoms, and transformed the worlds. Stories of romance, love, and loss define our life. The Lover's card is the drug-like high, the erotic passion showing us what is possible, not what is sustainable. A naked man and woman are joined in an intimate, sensual lotus blossom position. The unfolding lotus flower is a symbol of transformation. It speaks to the evolutionary aspects of ecstatic love. The lover's nudity reflects trust and vulnerability. The body expresses what language cannot. Sex is emotion in motion. A dark angel robed and hooded sanctifies the couple. Or are they an extension of his imagination? Spiritual ecstasy radiates through the card. Erotic love heals all sense of loss and fosters a complete spiritual union. Two become one and rise to transcend duality. The male focuses on the female. He sends all of his energy into her. She accepts the energy with her whole body and casts her eyes above to the dark angel. This graphic triangle of the energy echoes the creative principle of the entire universe. The Hierophant's lesson become experiential in the lovers as we taste the nectar of divine love for ourselves. This is an interesting card in this position. So it says the meaning, it's upside down.
It is upside down, yeah.
So it says the shadow meaning, obsession and compulsion over romantic object of desire, attachment to the point of mania, desperation, refusal to let a relationship end, sex addict, repeated abusive patterns in romantic entanglements. Interesting. I don't know what that has to do with the motivations of our podcast, but maybe we're reading it. Maybe we're not seeing the symbolism.
Yeah, can you read the shadow description again?
Mm-hmm. Obsession and compulsion over a romantic object of desire, attachment to the point of mania, desperation, refusal to let a relationship end, sex addict, repeated abusive patterns in romantic engagements. And then in the Rider-Waite-Smith says reversed is failure, foolish designs. Another account speaks of marriage frustrated and contraries of all kinds. Okay, so maybe this is in the motivations saying conscious desires. So maybe it's saying that there's a sort of desire for failure, or desire a sort of obsession or compulsion, or maybe there's something we need to take into account there.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what the connection might be. And this is the conscious desires, right?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Trials overcome. Oh, that's for the regular one.
It's interesting because I would read more conscious desires into this Wheel of Fortune and more subconscious desires into the Lovers, if anything, to the reverse Lovers. But yeah, what do you guys think? Do you guys have any extra insight on what that might mean in our context here?
Or what you have, if you've done this before and you've gotten that card, where what did it mean for you?
What symbolism might we be missing in reading it that way? That one, strikes me as a bit confusing. All right. Well, I think we're ready for our next break.
All right.
And we'll have a final
last
two
two cards.
And we can just talk about what we think of it in general.
Let's go.
All right. So this is Soul Food, and the song is called Used to Be.
Yeah, soul food, let's go. And born. Forwards on the beat. Up rock audio. LTC. Yo, I hit you with that funky soul food. Hungry but I'm old school. Spitfire but so cool. Wisdom for your mind. Representing soul food. Humble but I'm boastful. Sickening with the vocals. Gifted with the rhymes. Sometimes I feel like I don't really know you, but I can't break loose. She's anywhere I go to. She's always on my mind, so she's everywhere I roll through. Food for my soul. She's my chicken with some tofu. I hope you get this message that I wrote you, cause ever since we ended it, see, no one has come close to. And this is for the past. A toast for what used to be, for what we had when it was just you and me. So cold together, we were so close together, we were cooler than the breeze. Yeah, now she's gone away, and I never thought I'd see the day. Hey, so close together, we were so cold together, we were cooler than the breeze. Yeah, now she's gone away. Yeah, so we're moving on. Nothing lasts forever, guess we could get back together. Doesn't really hurt to try, but it never works the second time. Sequels never equal, people change, we can never be the same. I realize, see the sky's a wonder, if I ever get the chance to fly. Spread my wings, live my dreams before I die. I pray to God to save my soul, save me from this pain I hold inside. See, I know I'm in your heart, but there's still a hole in mine. And I know when time heals, and I know one day I will let someone in, a lover, friend, maybe even love again. But in the meantime, in between rhymes, beats, and life, I'm hoping to inspire you so you can see the light shining. So close together, we were so cold together, we were cooler than the breeze. Now she's gone away, see, I never thought I'd see the day. Hey, so close together, we were so cold together, we were cooler than the breeze. Now you've gone away. Say no if I ask you if you love me, cause I know you do, you must be lying. Girl, I know you trust me. If I ask you if I love you, cause you know that I adore you, to the point where I ignore you, cause I'm scared I'll scare you off if I really bear it all. Would you love me even more, would you even care at all? And don't you say no if I ask you if you care. And cause I know that you'd be there, since Carmen used to love her, now we've become a pair. And this crush turned to lust into a love affair. And don't you ever say no, no, don't ever say no. You say that you don't love me and you're lying if you say so. So close together, we were so cold together, she was cooler than the breeze. And now she's gone away and thought to stay. So close together, we were so cold together, we were cooler than the breeze. And now she's gone away, see, I never thought I'd see the day, never thought I'd see the day. Hey,
Welcome back.
All right.
You reread that entry. Was there anything that struck you?
No, the thing that struck me was what you said before, mostly
Was
about
that
like interpreting it. Like once you get more comfortable with the cards and their symbology and their the different elements of them, especially when according to the book that guides you as far as like its description of things and helps you understand what it is, and then you just like look at it and you take what from it you can, right?
I was rereading portions of the book earlier too, and at one point he does say that like not to take any of your reading seriously for like
specific
for a while because it takes some practice. But
right.
Anyway, it's still fun. So
yeah. But yeah, let's move on to number 6.
Yep. So card number 6. This card will indicate practical advice in the matter. It may suggest changing your focus in order to achieve what you really want. It may advise you to go ahead or abandon the project. Of course, whether you continue with the project or not is up to you.
All right. This is the number 4 card, the Emperor. And it is a billy goat with red eyes, like orange amber eyes. And standing amongst like a sunrise or sunset or fire or some sort of like orange glow behind it. It's got the same symbol in the bottom right corner as the Empress had.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of ankh.
Yeah.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
And is climbing up a mountain, looking straight ahead, moving up and onward.
This is the Emperor in the Rider-Waite-Smith.
Yeah, it's got the ankh in his hand.
Mm-hmm. Holding it like a wand. It seems like a goat is like on the chair.
Yeah.
The throne that he sits on. Huh. All right. So the Emperor is the archetype of the father. Define the boundaries of your life to create a kingdom. The Shadow Witch moves through a rocky, craggy landscape as vegetation becomes scarce and the air grows humid. She hears a crackling of a bonfire. She stops to catch her breath while the eerie feeling of being watched creeps across her skin like a little spider. She looks up to discover a pair of glowing eyes peering down. The Emperor is a male consort and a partner of the Empress. He is the energy of boundaries and restrictions. He takes the expansiveness of the Empress and gives her shape and form. He is the builder and protector. The Emperor and the Empress court and dance with each other, but never consummate their attraction. Their mutual flirtations is what gives shape and form to the world. The Emperor is numbered 4 and reflects ultimate stability. He is the master of his domain. This is where habits are formed, order is created, and results are seen. He is underlying structure of the tarot deck, as solid as the foundations of a house, and with a sheer force of will that cannot be broken. He is you on top of your game, laying down the law and showing up and getting things done. The ram is the symbol of Aries, and the embodiment of strength, initiative, determination, rules, and order. This is a card of power. The cliff reflects his boundaries. He would destroy them at a moment's notice when they no longer serve his purpose. The symbol of an Egyptian ankh is carved into the cliff beneath him, suggesting everlasting life. His compact, muscular body denotes strength. His horns are used to batter through opposable forces. It says meaning, father figure, habits and strategies creating success and results, authority and domination, defense and protection, established rules, asserting boundaries when needed and moving them when necessity calls for it, self-possession, and above all things, self-control.
Okay. Yeah. That seems to have a lot of practical advice use.
Yeah, so I think in the practical advice seems to be saying, well, yeah, like your question is about, applying magic towards, the podcast growth, but this seems to be saying, well, yeah, but practical advice should be you still need to work hard, follow the rules, get things done.
Yeah, show up every time and do the work. Right. And follow through with the things that you've set out to upgrade and to enhance.
Right.
Specifically in this vein of our podcast, right? Like the things we've been talking about, like with the whole revised editing system and like doing, recording everything on one, software so we can, streamline things and get a Discord up and running and get some guests on. Those are all things that we're looking to do. So, yeah. Showing up and getting those things done will do wonders for us.
Totally. All right. So then the final card is card 7. This is the final outcome. If you go ahead and follow your current path at this time, even if the reading so far has been positive, the outcome may be negative. This is because there may be other considerations with which the short reading does not take into account. The split hexagon spread is a quick and easy method, but is not intended to be a totally and fully complete. It should be enough, however, to get you through this course of lessons.
All right. So this is the 11 card, Justice. This is a gal with a gray top, like shoulders, but with a long white flowing dress, with two women in red dresses, bound and blindfolded in front of her. She's holding up a sword with her right hand in front of a large tree with branches outgoing, and looks like she's doing some form. Oh, yeah, she's got the scales in her left hand, often used to depict justice.
Yeah,
balancing the scales of justice.
And the two people kneeling at her feet are kneeling on her dress, which looks like it flows out as a river.
Right. Yeah, and there's a brown, a brunette and a blonde maybe here.
It says here, justice is the archetype of the law. What you do to others, you do to yourself. The shadow witch is set the wheel of fortune spinning and now moves through the wood with crystal clear intention. The hermit has explained karma to the witch. The hermit revealed that karma is the infused magic of responsibility, that which keeps universal order. What we put out in the world is what comes back to us. This is how each of us determines our fate and sets the course for our destiny. The shadow witch was told to find justice, and she recognizes the scales of balance. Justice traditionally reflects the glue of law and order with social, moral, ethical, and safety codes. Justice takes on deeper meaning inside the dark wood. It is the moment of personal truth. The work and effort you put into a project or a situation is what is returned to you. Justice allows no shortcuts, lies, or deceptions. She holds the sword of truth. It will see the heart of the matter and the tenor of all souls. Two kneeling maidens are blindfolded. They can remove their blindfolds once they claim their role and responsibility for the actions, thoughts, and choices bringing them to Justice's feet. Those who integrate Justice's lessons will act with integrity and become free. We show up for ourselves, our desires, and for other people. The universe responds by greeting us with new possibilities and hidden delights. Says meaning, work and effort, karma, the witch's rule of 3. The energy you put out returns to you 3 times over. taking responsibility, doing the right thing, even if it is tough, scary choice, showing up when you would rather avoid the situation, doing right by yourself, facing the truth, owning up.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense as an outcome card, especially after the last one.
Yeah, how do you read that?
Just, on the face of it, kind of, maintain, like throughout the reading, it's kind of had the vein of like, stay true to yourself, maintain the integrity of the work, and, and then like with the ram and the emperor card, talking about, like, what was his main theme?
The Emperor
Yeah.
was about like getting things done, like
Right, that's right.
like order, making order,
Showing up for the
Right.
So showing up, maintaining, following the order of the way that it's supposed to be done or whatever, right? At least as far as we set out.
Mm-hmm.
And then, justice will be the ultimate, like, weighing of the scales. Like, the amount of work you put in will give you the outcome you have worked for.
Yeah.
So, magic being the magic, I would say, that could be brought from this, in my, first thing is just like allowing yourself, giving yourself permission to work harder at something.
Right. And to commit to it,
And
and to
more
put in
tr-
the
and-
hard work
And stay true to yourself in the time.
and the passion.
Yeah.
In general, I think this is a pretty impressive, like
Pretty solid reading,
It's an interesting reading. The one that, if anything, gives me like just a little question is that upside down lovers card.
Yeah.
In that position, I find that just still a little unclear, but everything else seems to like line up with the question.
Mm-hmm. So cool.
Yeah. So
I'd like to do this one again. I'd like to do another reading eventually.
for the podcast, or
Yeah,
just a different question?
Just for the podcast. See how things turn out.
Yeah.
Maybe in 6 months or
Mhm.
something.
Sure.
Do another reading for this specific.
I took another picture, so I'll show you guys our final spread there. And yeah, like I said before, feel free to again, we're new to this, so
Yeah. Very new.
this is like the fourth time I've ever done one of these things.
My very first time.
Yeah, so we have a lot to learn. So if you have insight on what some of these cards in these positions mean to you,
Yeah.
let us know like what thoughts that brings to you.
Yeah, if you're somebody who reads tarot like regularly and you have a more insight to the spread, please let us know. It'll be fascinating to hear, because we're still figuring all this stuff out.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, let me finish up with a couple of little thoughts he has on learning the tarot.
Okay.
So he says, the only way to learn the tarot is to use it constantly. Try memorizing the meanings of the card, one per day. Also try giving yourself small readings on a daily basis. However, don't count on the accurateness for at least a month. You were probably not too accurate when you first learned to ride a bicycle or drive a car. But as you practiced and became experienced, success in riding a bike and driving not only was assured, it became part of you, and those skills became second nature to you. Today, you just do them and don't even consciously think about them. Let me assure you that with just a few weeks or months of committed practice, you will be successful with your readings, and they will surprise you with their accuracy. Be sure to continue with your daily practice of the tarot contemplation ritual. So this is a different tarot ritual he talks about, where you essentially draw one card every day.
Oh, and just read the card.
Yeah.
With an intention to it as well.
He talks about doing it after this this original ritual he teaches you, which is just the relaxation ritual, which is meant to get you into that sort of focused, that sort of theta brainwave state of connectedness, right? That like relaxed, almost hypnagogic state.
Right.
And then to do a tarot reading, like just draw a card and contemplate it every day, which would be a great way to learn all the cards by doing that on a daily basis. Anyway, doing a reading or a ritual does not overcome the need for doing both. This set of lessons is not about doing divinations. It's about learning the basics of practical magic. For this purpose, the major arcana plays the most vital role. You will learn more of its importance later. For giving general readings to yourself and others, the minor arcana should be brought in, especially for in-depth readings. Unfortunately, there is only so much room in these lessons, and since the minor arcana does not play an intrinsic role in this course's study of magic, a thorough study will be left to other authors. Then he says, please don't think they're unimportant, but yeah, the book isn't going to focus on them.
Gotcha.
So he says to
keep
basically
going,
just
basically
do it daily,
yeah.
and then he recommends eventually like finding another like course or book on tarot to deepen the knowledge.
Just widen it and maybe start using some of the minor cards. So cool.
So
It's very fascinating.
Tarot's super interesting.
Yeah.
Some of these cards are really interesting too.
Because how many are there of the major? 22? 21?
22. Yeah,
And
0
used
to
7.
21. And a lot of the cards, one of the things I've been learning is that a lot of the cards that maybe even sound scary aren't
Necessarily.
the way you would.
Especially if you get it in the inverse.
Yeah, right. Like for instance, like the death card.
Yeah.
Like you would think maybe that's a pretty scary one. And it can be, but here, I want to read that entry just because I find it interesting. Okay. So death is card number 13. Here, have a look at that. It says, death is the archetype of death. Let death teach you how to live. The hanged man falls to the ground. Her red gown turns silky white, and her back sprouts white feather wings. Her chestnut hair turns ashy gray. The vampire transforms into a weeping angel. Death moves through the woods with a scythe, collecting souls just as feudal farmers collected wheat. The season ends. It's harvest time. Death holds an hourglass. Time has run out. A small child looks up with wonder. Children accept all things at face value until experience and education lead them to question and fear. Death exists in the shadow areas of our psyche until we are forced to deal with it. Death is not the opposite of life. Life is infinite. Death is the opposite of birth, a construct of the material world. Life's infinity resides within the dance of birth and death. Consciousness awakens in the fool and resolves in the complete integration at the world. Death arrives at number 13, the uncanny number of strangeness and occult significance. Death is the energy keeping the material world fresh and new. Esoterically, death occurs during initiation into magical or secret society. The old self drops away and the new soul emerges. Death inhabits Shavasana, the final resting pose of yoga, where a practitioner is transformed by her practice. Death inhabits the shadows, forests, and thickets of Gothic literature, film, and horror. How do we integrate death's lessons? How can death teach us how to live? Death teaches us all things change constantly from the molecular level to the mundane life. Death is ongoing like the weather. Death is the energy allowing emotions to appear, be felt, and slip away, only to be replaced by new ones. Western cultures traditionally reflect the human spirit either rising to heaven or descending into hell after death. This is dualistic vision of the cosmos, ignoring a complexity which holds all options simultaneously. The dark wood teaches us to befriend the darkness, look death in the eyes, and make peace with all aspects of human existence. Death is the impermanence of the world. So it says, for meaning is terminus, the end of a way of being, clearing a path, ascent to a higher understanding, the beginning of true integration, a new beginning with a deeper understanding unfolds, or letting go.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great example of what you're saying, like death being an obvious negative connotation, you know, just in general, but that, you know, you have to know that death is inevitable and death is necessary to maintain the physical world. Because if nobody ever died, the physical world would be overrun and it would be uninhabitable.
Right.
Just as if, you know, there's a calamity that wipes out everybody. You know, overpopulation and would be just as bad.
Death is what gives sustenance to life, right? Like,
yeah. It keeps it refreshed and it keeps it, you know, light.
Life feeds on other life, which means life feeds on death.
Yep.
And so death is, in some ways, like a nurturing too, right? It's a changing of form, a changing of shape.
Yeah. And, you know, metaphysical death, you know, like the idea of like the, you know, ritual schools and the mystery schools, like the idea of an initiate dying in order to, you know, be reborn and have a new soul. Like that makes me wonder about reincarnation. If those things were actually true and you could actually like live, like basically like force yourself into some sort of like, you know, ego death. And would that actually change who you are in such a way that it would be a whole new soul? Or is it just that you're like renewing yourself and like shedding all of the baggage of the previous world? Yeah. And in that way, you're changing who you are, in at least in this incarnation, right? It's an interesting idea. But I've become less and less fearful of death just in my own personal journey with all these different topics and like the way people describe their near-death experiences. And, you know, you got even like the from what's that the telepathy tapes.
Yeah. Right.
And like the talk about like death not being the end and like being able to like live as your soul being outside of the barriers of the physical world, like death being the opposite of birth, not the opposite of life.
Right. I find that's such a huge distinction.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us go through life thinking that death is the opposite of life. But yeah, it's misguided and it's important.
It is an important distinction. I agree.
Cool. Well, you know what we should do? We should get another tarot deck to leave here, and we should draw a card every week too.
I'll be down.
Just give us a way to like keep learning more about the cards.
Oh, yeah, I can get one for myself or something, maybe.
Yeah, or maybe I'll buy you one.
Oh yeah, I forgot. There's the rules.
Cool. All right. Well,
awesome.
Yeah, I think we're past 2 hours here. So
yeah, I appreciate
y'all. Hope you guys enjoyed. And please give your feedback and let us know what tarot means to you. How do you use tarot if you do?
Or do you know anybody or have any experiences with it or anything like it?
Yeah.
Magic.
Any recommended reading, being that this introduction to Magick book that I'm reading isn't a tarot book? Like, do you think where's a deeper book I can go to like learn a little more?
Yeah, for sure. Road? Yeah, appreciate y'all hanging in with us and listening to this episode 61. If you guys want to get in touch with us, you can hit us up at host@dualitycheck.net. That's our email,
which is now working for us both.
Up and running for both of us now.
The website is also working.
Yep. So dualitycheck.net. If you guys want to get everything that we link or post with our episodes, images, everything, videos, all of it's going to be on our website. If you're just listening on Apple Podcasts or any of the podcast platforms and you like to see some of the images, I believe some of it is shown on the podcast platform, right?
Yeah. So if you listen on Apple Podcasts or you listen on like Overcast, a bunch of them, any of them that support chapter markers, we have images attached to the chapters. Yeah. So they should pop up as you listen. But some of them, like Spotify, don't necessarily support that. So if you're looking for the images we're referencing, just go to the dualitycheck.net, check up on the episode, and you'll see all the pictures posted there.
Yeah, and if you want some of the watch the videos and see the pictures kind of popped on screen as you listen along, and you like the video aspect of it. I know we do a lot more video clips and stuff early in the episode, but yeah, you can go to our YouTube or Rumble. We'll have everything laid out all in one video, so you can just listen along and watch along.
Yeah, and if you're checking us out on YouTube or Rumble, help us out with like
and subscribe.
Help us grow.
Comment. Greg, you're a legend.
Tell us about your week, your life, your tarot experiences. I don't know. Get
aliens, anything. Any of the episodes you wanna comment on.
Any episode ideas you got for us too?
Yes, that would be awesome. Yeah, cool. Appreciate y'all hanging out. This has been a great episode. We'll see y'all next week for 62.
Alrighty.
Later.
Bye.